You're listening to Spainfully Honest, the podcast where me, Paul,
and me, Catherine, talk about what it's really like living in Spain.
each week we'll share stories, tips, and honest conversations about life in Spain, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Whether you live in Spain or you're thinking about moving or you just want to know a little bit more, you're in the right place.
So grab a coffee and let's get Spainfully Honest. Hello, welcome to episode 11 of the Spainfully Honest podcast.
Yay! So how's your weekend, Paul?
It's been okay. We went back
Yeah.
last week, and so she's gone now, which is a shame, because
Oh.
it's really nice having her here. Stitches have sort of healed. You
Yeah.
can see them a little bit. Actually, you can see them now, by the way, on the reflection. But yeah, no, all right. It's still hot. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is still quite hot.
Yeah. I'm okay now. Once it's like hot in the middle of the day, but morning is cool, evening, nighttime is cool, I can sleep. I'm happy, I'm alright with this.
Well, we had the aircon on last night, and all of a sudden it's not working. And then when I looked, it was on 25, which it has been for the whole summer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't doing anything. So that means temperature dropped
Yeah.
in the house because it wasn't working at 25. So it dropped it to 24 and then it came on again. So it definitely has reduced a little bit, especially at night.
100%. And even now, like, you have the aircon on in the office. You kind of get it on still when you have like the windows and doors closed and stuff. But I can notice like you getting cold very quick, you know, from the aircon being on.
I'm trying some. First time in the summer.
Yeah, but and yeah, me as well, they went as well. So, well, it's sad.
Off to university, being
Yeah.
where he's gone.
He's on the Oviedo this time, yeah.
Right, so that's the world.
Yeah, and he sent me a picture last night with his jumper on at night time with like
Right.
16 degrees. So it just shows,
Sure.
yeah. So yeah, and he like does not like the heat at all. Like I was surprised that he lasted the whole summer here. He's not mad on the heat. So yeah, he's still like up there. He said it's spitting rain. And so
Hey!
I was like, it's planned to rain up there. So now today, the next like 6 or 7 days in a row.
It's supposed to rain here at some stage.
Yeah.
One day, I think it's 2 hours. Well, there was a fire, wasn't there, the other day, and the clouds were all black, and everybody was saying, "Oh, it's a thunderstorm." No, it was a fire.
It was fire in yeah.
It's quite bad.
Los Niecos, I think, or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't a bushfire like a tree fire, was it? It was a fire.
Cool. Well, in this episode, we're going to talk about working in Spain. So it's going to be all about working in Spain.
Our experience of working.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be useful, could not be useful.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about it a few minutes ago, and we said what we try to do is put in there the things that we found useful, and you might find useful from our employment.
Yeah. So we're going to try, might not be able to do it for every job. We're going to try and tell you for each job that we did, what was helpful about doing each job, or what we kind of got from doing each job, like what helped our life in Spain, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I first came over in 1997, and my wife's uncle wanted to set up a bar. I'd had some experience previous to that as a family at a hotel, and I'd worked in and run a couple of restaurants. And so he said to us, "Why don't you come?" And so it was an opportunity to come, not on your own.
Yeah.
So that was the reason. And the way the system sort of works here is when you've got your own business, you have one person that's sort of the owner, and they go on a thing called autonomo, which is like self-employment would be in the UK. And at that time, I mean, this would need checking now. You'd have to check with an assessor or something. The best way to do it was to have the other people working there as employees. Even though we were really effectively partners, we bought into it together equally. It was better to have one person as the head person and then employees. So I was an employee, and so was my wife, and so was his partner. So we were effectively employees. I believe it's still okay, because I think it's only if it's immediate family that you can't do them as autonomous.
Okay.
Not that you have to do it, but check that.
It would actually be a good idea to do. I think we could get a whole episode on being self-employed in Spain.
Yeah.
With like you've got a head store or something like
Yeah.
you know. And it's huge, it's so detailed.
Yeah.
Like it's
And it's one of the ways that you can come here and work.
Yeah.
So that was that. But so like here's the tip. It actually works quite well for the other people, because effectively you've got an employment history then that's straightforward. So he got an assessor, which is like an accountant but for employment, and they organised everything for the other three people, so for us. So he had to go on a lot of the meetings with them, but we didn't, because we were employees. So effectively that created at that time, they did the NIE number, and got that fullest, and also social security number. So that was something I didn't have to do effectively. As an employee, it was done by the employer.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good thing if you are coming over. If you can get a job working for somebody else, a lot of the things will be taken out of your hands because somebody else will do them. So that that's my point on that really.
Yeah.
I was doing the cooking in the kitchen. I can't really explain much about that. I'm a cook, not a chef. That's how I describe myself. And in summer, in a little kitchen, it's very hot. It's very hot.
I'm nothing like I know, I don't know. Because, well, I've worked as a waitress in plenty of places, but it's not the same. Like Alex, my other half, he's a chef. Oh my God.
I mean, kitchens are hot anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's, much different. It's just always like the hottest UK kitchen.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Alex loses stomach weight all the summer. Like he's so skinny at the moment. Like he puts it back on over the winter.
And I'm going to be trying things as well, so I'll be eating quite a lot relatively.
No, he eats a lot.
But you just lose it through as well. Yeah, that was the same. As you can tell, when you stop, it goes to last. Well, yeah, no, I probably do. Yeah.
But it is important, but I think it's one of the big things that people think that they'd love to do when they move over to Spain, right? Open maybe an Irish bar or a restaurant. It's like the thing. So yeah, that's an important thing to say that, listen, it does be hot, like very hot. Even if, like as a waitress or something that side with, you can really notice it. And
you go, we had effectively 240 seats, and of the 240, I think 80 were outside. So, the waitresses and the waiters there were going in and out in 90-degree heat, carrying stuff, and you can't stop it, you can't wipe it, you can't wipe yourself to do it. So it's not an easy occupation.
No way.
Great. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I would say it was probably 6 foot square, this kitchen. It was a great kitchen from a cook's point of view because I could stand in the middle and reach everything. So from that point of view, it was quite good for cooking. And I didn't get out of there. I went in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, came out about 4, went and slept on a sunbed on the beach for 2 hours, and then went back in at sort of 6, 7 o'clock to get ready for the evening meal and spent 6 hours in there at night.
It's important like that, isn't it? Because it's another thing. If someone's thinking of really staying and open a restaurant, more so a restaurant, that the times that Spanish people eat and the times that say foreigners eat, like UK, Ireland, whatever, they eat earlier, I think. I mean, I would just
in most times, breakfast and evening meal.
Yeah.
And lunch. I mean, the fact that everything's early. Yeah.
So it makes the day all run into each other. You think they'll get a break after breakfast and a break after lunch, but let's say let's just say people from the UK and Ireland, they'll come in early for breakfast, and then Spanish people come in late for breakfast. Would you say late for breakfast?
Yeah, I mean. We were on a port, and so because it was the summer, a lot of the people were coming down and then going out on boats. So I think they came earlier, perhaps, than they would do in a normal restaurant in perhaps a beach location. And so we had a lot of people at like 8 until 9:30. That would be when the Brits came at that time. But some Spanish as well, more so than perhaps a normal restaurant because they were going out for the day on the boat, so they get good. But normally, when you see the restaurants around here on the beach, they got home till 10 o'clock to do breakfast. Yeah, so it is something to know. We would try and stop breakfast by 11, and they'd be like lunch, and then the Brits would start, foreigners would start to come in. Not just the Brits early, and some other nationalities as well. And then from 2 o'clock until we were like kicking out at 4, mainly because you have to have a rest.
Yeah, but then other people. Like again, people from the colder countries, UK, Ireland, Scandinavia, Holland, all the places, they then start coming in for the dinner at like 5, 6 o'clock.
In the height of the summer, they definitely came later because it was too hot. But
they're on the beach.
They're on the beach, so they went back, got changed, came out, so they might go at 7. Yeah. Well, the Spanish, the earliest Spanish would be 9. Yeah. The earliest.
No one's down would be 10.
Yeah.
And then you don't be surprised to see people coming and sitting down at 11 o'clock. Yeah. Although I will highlight, even Spanish people who work in restaurants would rate their eyes a little bit. Yeah. Not as far maybe, but
well, we were on the port, and so it was very, it was a lot of bars and restaurants and some discos. So what we did, we effectively, at 11 o'clock at night, we stopped the main evening meal menu and literally turned the boards around and became effectively a takeaway fast food place. With burgers, sausage, burgers, chips, hamburgers, hot dogs. For people going to and coming from the disco.
Yeah.
To maximise it, because we had to. We had effectively 2 massive months and 10 months of virtually none of it.
Yeah.
So, we had to make the most of it. And so that meant the day, I would get to the bar, I'd set up to the bar about 7 o'clock in the morning, and on the height of the summer, I'd be lucky to get home 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I couldn't stay to my feet around things so much, that's what I think at the beginning. We got used to it. Get good shoes. I really do, get good shoes. Get shoes, so that they call but yeah, get good shoes.
And it's not, because you can push through it while you're on your feet. This is something that's the same as when you're a waitress. It's when you off your feet.
I can, at the beginning, I bet it took 2 weeks to sort of get used to it, and 2 weeks I got used to that. Because it was just so painful.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, you got good shoes, and then I've got used to it. And you see loads of people here in like the waitress, the waiter outfits will be black, which is worse for the heat.
Yeah.
But then they'll have like a black pair of Nike running shoes or something, because you just need a graphic.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a tip. That's a
So
tip.
shoes. Yeah. And then
So that was my sort of first experience.
yeah. Well, mine was working, so I went to Madrid first, for anyone who maybe hasn't listened to the earlier episodes, I moved to Madrid first. And then, so I worked in doing the guest list first, which was very cool. I met loads of celebs and that, Gucci and Real Madrid players, and although I didn't know who half were, the only thing. I met the...
Were you into football? I know you're really into football now. Were you into football before you came here?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
I used to watch football with my dad. And he's a Leeds United fan, so I always watch the football with him.
Good football.
Always. Yeah, it's different. And then, so I always watched football with him and always loved it, really. Yeah, and so I loved it when I moved to Madrid. I got more into, I wouldn't say I was a Real Madrid fan, but into watching them play, because at that time it was the Galacticos, you've got Zidane and just Beckham arrived after me, so around that time period, and it was probably one of the best round of teams ever. It was amazing. So you couldn't not watch them and enjoy it, it was brilliant. So Roberto Carlos, Guti, getting at loads of them.
They don't come
Michelle Salgado, they would come in, and they came into the Irish bars as well. They go to the Irish
Oh,
bars,
right,
yeah. You met loads of people like that. I also met, I didn't know who you were, the Bishop boys.
Yeah.
And they were there, and I remember them saying, they were sitting around and talking, and we were like, oh, what do you do here? And they just kind of looked at you and laughed, and they said they were pilots. But from how they said it, I was like, oh, it's obviously not.
They once did it. They once, one of their films, one of their videos to some of their music. They once walked out of Palace, I think. I remember it. I can't think of what song it is. Tell us what song it was.
When they left, someone go up to me and said, that was the Bishop boys. They were in Madrid in concert. And I was like, oh, I didn't know who they were. I was just talking stuff like they were normal things, right? I don't know, but anyway.
Where's the shout, boy? You got any attitude? They're looking for a car.
They just introduce themselves like their first names, or whatever.
I used to be a German breeder. I could have gone through one of them. Not personally, German.
So and then I worked in an Irish bar, and it was brilliant. And my point to be trying to be helpful with this is, I think, even no matter what you're coming to Spain to do, even if you've got a qualification, I think, and you're young, maybe, I guess, I think working in places like that is brilliant. I met so many people working from the medical, but especially in the Irish bar. And I always say it's and for anyone, you don't have to be Irish. I think you can be from any country. An Irish bar is like a built-in community. When you move somewhere new, they'll look after you. The people who work in Irish bar, And the people who I was working with, I remember there was a girl who played the cello, amazing. She was in some kind of orchestra. She was studying it still, and she came to improve her English. So she was working in the Irish bar to get better English, because she was going to be travelling around for her music.
So the main language in the bar, was it owned by Spaniards or
Irish people? Yeah, it was owned by Irish people.
So was the main language of the bar, so between the staff, English then?
It was mixed. Probably slightly more English, I would say. I would lean to because there would be people who would move over to Madrid to learn their Spanish, but they maybe hadn't got a fantastic level yet. They were learning it while they were working there. So they were like that break times and stuff, they would kind of maybe relax into English because they didn't have to speak to the customers.
And what percentage of customers would you say were English speaking rather than Spanish speaking?
I would say more Spanish. So maybe 60-70% Spanish. And then there was a lot of American people like in Madrid, a lot of like from the States, loads. And then UK and Ireland some, but I would say the majority were Spanish. They love the Irish bars. Like Spanish people love Irish bars, and it would be jam-packed to the rafters. Like
I mean, you might be biased, but was it a good Irish bar?
It was a great Irish bar. It was huge. All the stuff. It was O'Neill's in Madrid, and it was huge. It was upstairs and downstairs. You had one long bar upstairs in the kitchen with food. Downstairs you had another huge bar and another small bar. They had an area for live music, and they had live music on all the time. They had a big screen, so if there was any big tournament on, whether it was rugby or football or golf or whatever, they would have it on the big screen as well, and they would have it on all the tellies. So it was, people were all, and they used to create things as well, like, so there was nights, like on Friday nights, like on a Tuesday, I think it was, they had like a meet-up group come in, so people to speak Spanish and English. And so it was a real community. It was like a built-in, ready-to-go community. And working there, and there was a guy who worked there who was training to be a solicitor. And again, he was Spanish, but he was there to improve his English. And so that's the kind of people that you're meeting there, all kind of all backgrounds and everyone coming to learn English. So I highly recommend it. I said it to my own son, so I'm not saying it to you and I wouldn't say it to my son. It's the same thing I said to him, like if you can find a couple of nights in an Irish bar, you're gonna find if you're moving to somewhere new, you're gonna have a community, you're gonna have someone there, to fall back on. Like you haven't got your family.
Like we said with virtually every podcast is try and get some Spanish friends.
Definitely.
And if they're there to learn English and you're there to learn Spanish, you've got something in common, haven't you?
Yeah. And they're lovely. The guy Miguel who was trained to be a solicitor helped me with loads of stuff, paperwork that you have to do when you first go to Madrid and everything, like bank accounts that you had to open. He helped me with loads of things. And again, if I hadn't worked as an Irish bar, then I don't know what would have been like. So I think it's a great idea to work in a bar when you first come over. If you're studying, if you want to learn the language, even if you're trying to be a lawyer or you're trying to do whatever, like just for maybe 6 months or a summer or whatever. Even like the networking of working in somewhere like that, the customers that came in, you got talking to them at the bar,
Well, the parents with teenage kids.
Yeah.
If they go and work there, collecting glasses and things, it's probably quite a safe environment, as much anyway. You have to research it obviously before. But I will learn the language.
So what do you do next?
So I went back after that. So I was only here about a year. And we sort of decided that we didn't want to be in Spain anymore. Went back to the UK. And within a few months of getting back, we realised we'd made a mistake. And we sort of realised that it wasn't the fact that we didn't want to be in Spain, it's just that where we were in Spain wasn't what we wanted. It was very English, and we didn't really want that. We'd come to Spain to be in Spain as well as being like that. And so I got a good job when I went back, and we had 2 children while we were back in the UK. But all the time it was sort of in the back of our minds that we wanted to go back to Spain. And so in the meantime, my mother bought a property here, which I came over and helped her with. And when we came to the area that she bought in, which is the area that we live in, we realised that was more what we wanted. We wanted to be in Spain, but have the English things when there were emergencies, if that makes sense. So I wanted hospital where if you went in, hopefully somebody speaks English. However fast you learn the language, you're not going to learn that kind of thing first. Vets, lawyers, there's somebody that speaks English to help you at the beginning, because we didn't speak Spanish. And so when my mother bought this place, we started to come on holidays, and then we started to come more and more, making every holiday as long as possible. So every bank holiday, make sure you got the Friday off before, and et cetera, et cetera. And then we just said to each other once when we went back, we just said, why are we still coming back here? We want to be there. And we luckily, in the time that we did that, we made quite a bit of money, had a good job, and we made quite a bit of money on the house. So we just sort of said, we've got 2 kids, so there's 4 of us. We need effectively a 3-bedroom house. We had a 2.5 bedroom house, which was a bedroom at the front and then 2 main bedrooms. But the problem is, although we've done quite a lot on property, the 4 bedrooms have gone up twice as much. You know, like ours have got 50 grand, they've gone up 100 grand because of more money. So actually worse off, although we've built really well, but we weren't worse off for here. So we sold the house, we sold it really quickly. I actually sold it to the next door neighbour. That's how ridiculous it was. They wanted ours because we had the parking space, and they didn't. And they literally sold theirs and bought ours next door, actually next door. So we sold it, we didn't get an offer, and then we came here. But because my parents had the house here, we were in a fantastic situation because we didn't have to panic into renting or buying, we could stay there, which is great. If you have that situation, if you have a friend or somebody that's got property and you are going to come over, you know, why not rent it off them? Or we didn't have to pay them because it was more, but rent it off them so you can start. We always recommend in the property ones as well, try and come here as much as you can before you buy, but rent somewhere. But if you've got family or friends with somewhere, stay in there. And so the idea was effectively, I was going to buy a house and do it up myself. I was quite handy, and I'd done a lot of work in all our houses before. But within a month of being here, I can't do this. You know, I was 39, and it wasn't enough. And so I saw an advert for a job selling houses on a resort near where we were living, and applied and got the job.
Yeah.
So I came back as selling properties. And again, that was a good way to be in the system. The great thing was your numbers, your NIE and your social security number never get forgotten. They're all in the system. So when I came back, effectively, it was very easy to get that job. I didn't have to apply for anything because I just gave them those numbers and they did it all.
Yeah.
So again, working for somebody else would be useful.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. You know, it was, again, a good atmosphere. So in the sort of offices that we were selling at a resort. So we weren't selling properties anywhere else, just on the resort. They weren't built, so you're selling from pieces of paper. But in that office, there were sort of 12 people. I'd say half of them were Spanish, and then the others were, there was another couple of English people, there was a Dutch person, you talked to the different languages, so you learn that way. Yeah. And they're also great places for help, you know, because there's somebody in there that knew about when I was doing things to the houses, you know, to my house, and I wanted to say put over it. There's somebody there that knew about the planning and things. Yeah. So they know it's a good networking experience for you. So that's another thing you can do. And they do. Nowadays, they sort of probably more want you to speak Spanish and English, whereas then just speaking English was sufficient because the volume of Brits coming in for properties was sufficient. You didn't have to speak English. Yeah. And there were people there that if it was something that needed to go to a notary or whatever, they would go. Yeah. You didn't go. I didn't go to a notary.
Do you think these days it's a little bit more split, or do you think it's still like that?
No, I think it's more. I think it's more. They want the second language. I think they want you to be able to do more yourself, but also obviously the people coming in for the properties are different. Yeah. It was in the boom of the Brits. Yeah. The time when they did it. So, you know, you could have half the office who only spoke English, and there would be clients for them, you know. And also now as well, I think a little bit is a lot more Spanish speak English than did then. Yeah. So in the office there were people that only spoke Spanish as well, which now I don't think you get that. Yeah. You know, most people have got more than. Yeah, I think they'd be asking more now for language, irrespective of that. So, and like we've said in previous podcasts, that is one of the first things you should be looking at getting is some language. Yeah, definitely. You don't have to be technical. I mean, I don't think you need to know the ins and outs of the law of property, but you need to be able to have conversations.
Yeah. Because when Paul was on here, it was brilliant on that episode that we did about like resort living and city living. That was brilliant. Like what he said was bang on. You know, it's all about people at the end of the day. So just being able to talk to people, you know, that's the main thing. Yeah.
And then, so I was there about 9 months and met a person that became my business partner, Carlos, who was a Spaniard, spoke very good English. And we sort of decided that between us we could do something similar to what they were doing, but more personal level.
Yeah.
So with the son, he had great experience in the area. He used to be a finder for locations for that predominantly supermarket group.
That's right.
And so he knew loads of mayors and people in positions around all the villages in Spain. So we decided to set up our own agency. But historically, my business in the UK had been working in furniture. And we noticed that there wasn't a lot of people doing furniture for all these people that were coming over to buy properties. And so we got a big office and split it into two, like the estate agency half and like a furniture showroom. The furniture just took off because nobody was really doing it for the expats. And that's how we did that. That's how we met, what's later on.
Because it's when I had Jamie, my son, is on the podcast, so he was born in Madrid, and so we moved down here to Murcia, and when my mum and dad bought a house here. And so my first job in this area, so I was still quite young, was also in the bar. It was only like 2 days a week. But again, it was brilliant. I met people who worked with Paul there. I met people who worked in the airport, and that's actually what happened first. So there's people who worked for Ryanair, one of their handling agents in the airport, and they asked me, would I like to work there? So again, working in the Irish bar, meeting people, networking, got me really all of my connections to the other jobs in the field when I worked here. So the first thing I did then after that was to work for Ryanair in the airport, and they were amazing. Like probably one of the best companies I ever worked for, you see a lot of stuff online.
You only see negative, don't you? You don't see the other 10 million people who are really happy with the 30-hour flight from
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like there's this thing in the news at the moment about how they pay their staff, when they catch someone, I don't know, about excess luggage or if they need to check in their hand luggage or whatever it is. Every company that I know of, from companies that I worked for, or people, friends who worked in other airlines, or just from working in the airport, you speak to everyone, they all do that.
Yeah.
Every single airline, especially the low-cost airlines, offer some kind of incentive to promote the extra legroom seats, to promote to make sure that the staff are charging for excess luggage. Because basically, it's all about speed, so they need everything to go like upward. So they need to make sure that the staff are catching the weight at the right time, and they need to make sure they're doing it. So the only way that you can do that, to make sure that people are having these extremely difficult conversations because people would kick off when you told them you had to pay excess luggage, is to incentivize it. Otherwise, people would shy away from it all the time. So it makes something sense.
Let's be honest, we've got away with it for about 10 years. Everybody has. And you see some of it, and I think, Christ, there's no way that would fit in that thing. Everybody tries for 1 centimetre or whatever, but some of it's practicing. They're supposed to go under the seat.
Yeah.
There's other people on those seats. If that won't go under and I'm sat next to you and I can't get out when you press you to the seat because of your back, I'm going to be upset.
Exactly.
So,
and it's what you said, everyone loves to push the boundaries. So like, when do you stop it? So you have to say, well, this is the rule, and that's just how it has to be. So if you're over by 1 kilo, then you have to pay. So if the person who's over 1 kilo doesn't pay, then the person puts to over 2 kilos. Well, he was over by 1, he didn't have to pay. So they let the person with 2 kilos go, the person with 3 kilos go, so and you've got queues of people all listening to the conversations. So you have to say, well, it's from 1 kilo, or sorry, people.
You're willing to send a message to hello@spainfullyhonest.com if you don't agree.
Yeah, I'm sure the other people don't agree, but I thought it was, when you're working and you see it behind the scenes, it makes complete sense. And again, I worked for other airlines, and they all did it.
If you're paying £2,000 to travel 2,000 kilometres, I could sort of understand you getting upset. But when you're paying 19 quid to do 2,000 kilometres, then, I think that's fairly reasonable price for the flights. So.
Right, Norman, their social media is brilliant. You see the stuff they have on the moment about like what people expect for 1999, and it's like they've got people escorting them personally to the airplane, getting a massage when you're on the airplane and all. It's funny. Everybody, their social media stuff, I like it. But yeah, so I worked for the airport, loved it, and then worked for other low-cost airlines as well. But as I said, I had Davey at the time, and even though I loved the job, he's like 3, and oh my god, like sometimes you're finishing, you think about it, on a good day, you might go at 11 o'clock at night, but then it was flights delayed, flights cancelled, flights diverted. There was always something. No matter what airline I was working for, not Ryanair only.
I remember them when like, because the problem is, I suppose it's the same in the UK, but if you get diverted to Alicante, that's 100 kilometres away.
Yeah.
It's not like just down the road, is it? So,
And we had to, people would have their car hire booked by the other airport or
Yeah.
the airport they're supposed to fly into. So we would have to wait for them to come down to make sure that they got on okay with their car hire. We had to make sure the car hire people would stay because they would be like, we're going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were like, no, because we still have to have, we would say, got 10 people coming down for.
I mean, that's no different now, because you hear it in Colera Airport where, some of the car hire companies, I'm not going to name them, but like they say they close at 9 o'clock, and they close at 9 o'clock.
Close and go. So,
And then there's people there out in the middle of nowhere with no car,
Yeah.
and nobody's contact because it's on God's answering machine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time I was working in San Javier Airport, and the only way to go was if you rented a car or someone picking you up. There's no buses or trains or anything. It was.
I mean, they've only just, in that airport, Colera Airport's been open, whatever it is, must be 5 or 6 years now at least. And they've only just started bus route now.
Yeah.
And that won't be on at 2 o'clock in the morning. It does get very good reviews, that place. So if you have a look to see if you can read it.
Yeah.
Well, if you get delayed by 3 hours, I don't think hold the coach stand for 3 hours.
No.
I hear it, isn't it?
No. So we would get trying to keep the rental companies there to stay and wait. Sometimes they might even just give us the paperwork or the keys. But we have to stay, we drive around the car.
I'll take it along. We'll be late tomorrow.
We had to wait.
Okay, I can know, because you ain't got that.
They're doing it to trust me. They find the pattern. So I'd be there sometimes until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning until everyone was off and everything like that. So it was difficult for a 3-year-old. And so, but I mean, I ended up being the station manager for one of the airlines. I was only 24. I was managing 50 odd people. So at that point, I had to be there every day.
I love that. That airport was brilliant. It was such a good airport.
It was great, yeah. But so anyway, I left that job because it was too difficult with my young child, and I had some time off around then. And then I worked in a football centre, Pinatar Arena.
Yeah.
So give them a shout out.
We will, because tomorrow we're going to watch England against Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free.
Under 20s.
Under 20s, yeah. That lad that scored that goal for Liverpool in the 100th minute, he's playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free. So watch that. And England won 2-0, didn't they? And Spain won 1-0, so it's going to be a good game. They're both very good games.
It's great, yes. So it's Pinatar Arena Football Centre, but they also have a gym. They have a spa. I'm not sure if they have the spa open now. It closed during COVID, so I'm not sure. They used to have a spa when I worked there. And obviously it's a football centre.
And paddle, is that paddle?
Yeah, and it has a great event area as well. So we're doing the restaurant that they've got a nightclub upstairs.
They started flattening the land for the hotel. Saw it this morning. Yeah, 5-star hotel. As I was driving past this morning, I got from my house to Catherine's house, I sort of drive past it. And I saw the Spanish teams. It looks like it was the trainers and stuff, because they were mid 40-year-olds walking up there. Because from the hotel they stay in at the moment, it's about a kilometre, I'd say, to there, so they were walking up. But the new hotel that they built is on the corner, so they walk back to walk.
Brilliant. I'm delighted because they've been trying to get that hotel sorted for a long time. For the reason of, obviously it's much better for the football teams when they come. And when the football teams come, will attract loads of people to the area as well. Loads of people come to meet them and to watch the football matches and to watch them training. Stephen Gerrard was there a little while ago, because he was I can't remember what team he was managing. No, weren't the Saudi Arabian League?
All right, yeah.
They were here in the area. Those of them here in the area. Ronaldo was in Almeria with his team during the summer. But Stephen Gerrard is here, and so it's run by a Finesse footballer. He used to be the captain of the Cartagena football team. Lovely man. And he's from San Pedro de Pinatar. And as we always say around here, he could have opened that anywhere, but he decided to open it here. So again, it creates employment and brings people to the area and the town. And it was a great place to work. And again, it was a great place to work because first of all, the amount of different jobs I did while working there, it was so good.
I missed you the other day. I could have done with you now. I went to ask about the ticket. I struggled a little bit.
Need someone speaking English.
Yeah.
Empowering them. But yeah, so it was a great spot, and it was like I don't know if I was just lucky, but it felt like a family when you worked there. Again, people looking out for you, Spanish people, mostly Spanish people there actually, and they all just look out for everybody, you know. Again, it felt like real
great.
people you could rely on. Yeah, even like it was social as well, because they planned loads of events, and that was part of what I did when I worked there. You were going to the events, so it was like part of your social life was built in as well, you know. So I loved working there. So places like that, you know, where there's lots of different things in one, you tend to have, you know, a nice community of people is a good place to work.
Yeah,
I met Jurgen Klopp there as well. And he was
There you go.
when he was at
That's for Man City, that one.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Cool. And what did I do after that? And after that, I went directly to start working with Paul. So that brings us back to...
Yeah, so our business, so we started it off as an estate agent and with the furniture. Very quickly, because of the time that you were there and the Polaris resorts were all setting up, they built nearly 10,000 houses altogether in the area. It very quickly came that there were a lot of estate agents, a lot of new people doing estate agency, but still not many doing furniture. And so we started to concentrate on the furniture, and we were just literally right place, right time. And we did very well. You know, we tried to treat people as we wanted to be treated, as we would like to be treated, and we did very well. We moved from a small office to a lot bigger, sort of intentionally built showroom. And then we moved again 5 years later into one with a car park and everything, a bit more like you'd see in the UK. Not as big as some of the UK ones, but still a reasonable size. And yeah, we'll never look back really. And then a few years in 2015, the company from the UK wanted to take us over because it was still, you know, we were still doing quite well. And they took us over and I became sales director. And again, it's sort of, it was nice. It's great to be your own boss, but it's also nice to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
And have them worry about it, especially when you go through something like COVID or Brexit for us, because Brexit affected us big style, obviously, because we were very Brit customer orientated. And then COVID, you know, and we would not survive. As a private business, I don't think we'd survive doing that. Because when it's your own business, you're using your own money. You know, we did have times in the sort of crash at the end of the noughties, or what we call. You know, we got to situations where we were having to remortgage our houses to keep the business going. And, you know, there were times at Christmas where we were, one Christmas I told my daughters that it wasn't until the 6th of January, which is when they do it, or 5th of January, and they did it here, because I didn't have any money to buy stuff for the kids for Christmas, you know. But like when the sales started in January, luckily people came and started spending it, and some cash and went and bought Christmas food. So, you know, there is a lot to be said for working for somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's no different to the UK, you know, that's just here in the UK. But yeah, no, really well. And then when the UK company took us over, that's when we needed some more people, because it became a bigger operation. We were looking at expanding a number of stores, and that's why I looked at Catherine to be our administrator to start off with, and then you took on from there.
Yeah, it's cool. And so I was doing the administration, so it was the English and Spanish, and because you have to deal with people behind the scenes, like logistics and that kind of stuff. You know, so you speak in Spanish for those things, and then obviously a lot of customer calls.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were positive, sometimes they weren't. That was my job. And so obviously they were mostly in English. And yeah, it was pretty fun. But as it went on, we got to like work in different areas. So there was other shops in different countries. And so I did the admin in those countries as well. So I had to go and help them. So it was really good. And then as time went on, in the end, like operations.
Yeah, operations.
The stores have your logistics and marketing and
sales.
I always say that's the thing about, if you're the person who speaks both languages, that's happening more and more these days. You'll find they try to have you in all areas because they need you to speak Spanish to some people, English to other people. So it's one of the fun things that I found about working and staying with Spanish, and obviously being able to speak English as well, that the variety of the job or things that you did during the day was a lot more fun and varied and interesting, you know. So it's something cool about.
You have to do the good things and the bad things.
Yeah.
Because if I had a customer that spoke English, Spanish, but reasonable English. I still pass on to Catherine because Catherine can speak to me Spanish. It's an easy cop out.
I liked it though. I always like, I like.
It was good. They were good to us, you know. They were good to us,
Yeah.
and you know, they allowed us to pick and choose a little bit the products that we had, because we had certain products that were really suitable to this market
Yeah.
that weren't something they would sell that much. You know, a classic example is sofa beds. You know, we would sell. 1 in 3 sofas would be a sofa bed for us. In the UK, it might be 1 in 20, and not even that. It's less than that. It's 1 in 50. You know, so we had a bigger range of sofa beds. We also had a different range of mattresses, because the mattresses we sold were designed for the climate here. So one was siliconized, and it had extra breathe cloth and things because, you know, it's hotter, as we know, still very hot. And they were very
gel
and they were very open to that sort of thing. You know, we had to have the name products because we were part of another company, you know, but they did allow us to do that, and I had nothing against them. And then when it came to the end, and they decided to effectively stop trading in Europe, effectively, they were very good to us.
Yeah, very good.
And you know, they wanted to make sure we were all right, and they did.
Yeah.
And you know, so you can't have that. And as you know, people say to me, "Do you wish you'd not sold it?" You know, when you sold it. And the answer is no, I don't. I mean, I'd love to be still working now in either form, but like I just said before, we wouldn't have got through that. Not easy anyway. You know, not for definite. We would definitely not got through that. And then, you know, when it did happen, when COVID happened, they were brilliant with us. There was no question about not being paid anything. They paid us, and you know, to them, they weren't, you know, a major problem. You know, like they were struggling enough in the UK with COVID, and to us it was just, you know, well, just make sure everybody's all right.
That was great. I mean, some of us still work from home. Like I was one of them. We brought one of the phones home, and sometimes it was funny because obviously people were lonely during COVID, and people would ring, like knowing that I had the phone, and I'd be on the phone for like 40 minutes just to this old lady who was not able to travel home, and all of her family was back in the UK, and she was living on her own over here, and she was obviously lonely, and she would ring up just to check on her sofa, or she would be on the phone with you for like a half an hour. Oh, that's so that's kind of what I did for COVID. But it was nice. God, it was nice. And but yeah, and of course I was paid for the work that I did, and just to say that they were amazing, because, and again, nothing against anything over in Spain, but it was just something that just something we'd never seen before. And obviously, you know, a lot of people got furloughed all at the same time.
In the UK, I mean, in the UK, the people working for the company were furloughed.
Yeah.
But with us, it was just like, it was a bit like, it's more hassle to organise and from a distance, for them to try and organise it all without help, we wouldn't help. It was just more hassle to just pay them.
Yeah. And we kind of kept it going as well.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We didn't abuse it at all. You know, I don't think I just worked. And you did. We couldn't do many because we couldn't be in contact.
Yeah.
We had to go. So I would go into the store, but Catherine didn't go into the store and stuff like that. But so we couldn't have too many people, but we had enough to keep it going.
Yeah.
But they were, you know, but it didn't matter. You still paid if you did that.
Yeah. And it was just as well because in Spain, because of so many people get furloughed, you think of like all the bars and restaurants and stuff that couldn't open, like all those people got furloughed. So Alex did as well. But because there was like a backlog of people waiting to be paid, it was like 2 or 3 months before his money started to come through. So if I had been in that as well, we would have been stuck after a while.
People didn't appreciate. Well, obviously, when it's affecting your money, you've got not got any money at all, then it's going to be a main priority. But I don't think anybody really understood that it was a shock for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, there weren't systems in place for that sort of thing at all.
No.
And so it was just such a, you know, a new thing for everybody.
You know, I would like to point out that everyone laughed at me in January. Remember when I said maybe the lads when they're emptying the containers from China should be wearing masks and gloves and everything like that. They're like, everyone thought I was crazy. 3 months later, they didn't think I was crazy then, did they? We were all going around with our masks.
You might have known something. It's not involved in it.
I'll let bring it up. But yeah, because they were, when it ended up that we closed and everything, and because they were so good to us, I then decided to take a chance, take a risk, and work for myself. and do some freelance writing. So I write for the Euro Weekly News at the moment.
Worth getting, if you're coming over, worth getting a copy of to find things in.
Yeah, they're free. The newspapers are free, and they've got a website as well. So I write for both. And then, and so I just decided I would never have done that if I hadn't have had, they hadn't been so good to us. I would never have taken that risk, and I did. So I have my home office. I work from home.
Which is where we are.
Yeah.
In the studio, called studio.
Home studio. It's cute though. It's nice. I like it.
Really?
Yeah. But then I felt a little bit locked away. That's the only thing about working from home and working for yourself. I felt like I'm quite a chatty person, I like talking.
As you can tell.
And so yeah, I thought I need something to get me out of the house a little bit. So I went and I've said in a few episodes, I can't remember which ones, but that I did some work in one of the local secondary schools. So I was like the native English teacher's assistant.
So how did you, I remember asking this question, how did you find that job? Was it an advertised job or did you go in or? No,
it was so weird. I was just like, I wonder if there's anything, just around that I could do, like maybe teaching English or something. I actually just opened, I think it was Indeed or something, and there it was. It was the government do it through an agency. So the agency looked for people because it was the schools, public schools, and so the agency then looked for people, and they were like, they couldn't believe. They've been looking for a couple of weeks, they said, and they couldn't believe their local line. Live in the same town, speak both languages, and they were like, yes. It was like, I remember sending the email the evening, and then the following morning they were like, when can I start? And I have to say, I was a little bit, I thought when I was applying, I kind of applied quite quickly at the primary school, and then it turned out to be secondary school. I was like a load of teenagers. Like I've just gone through the teenage years with my son. I thought, what I loved it. It was amazing. I loved it. So like getting out of the house, speaking to people, the kids loved me. I don't know why. I'm not really a kiddie person, but they loved me. And I just needed that interaction with people.
Did you have to get that thing? Did you have to have that check thing to check that you're not a criminal?
Not criminal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got that. But yeah. So I got that, and I looked at it and I worked in the school. It was just a couple of hours a week, but it was just enough for me to get out and start speaking to people again. And so that finished, because it's like, I don't know if I'm doing it again this year, but in my brain it was something for a year, because half of it wasn't about the language, half of it was about culture. So where are you from? And so they were at Christmas time, they were all interested in what food there would be at Christmas, and St. Patrick's Day they wanted me to do a presentation, and so a lot of it was about your background and your culture as well, So I don't know if I want to get someone new this year. I wouldn't mind either way. But then it was after that finished, I then said to Paul, have you ever thought about doing a podcast?
Yeah. No. Never thought about doing that at all.
I was surprised.
Well, you got me into podcasts, and I'd never heard of podcasts before you. I was driving from going down to the furniture stores. We had one here, and we opened a new one down in Malaga, near Fuengirola. And it was like a 4.5 hour drive. And the problem with it was, I used to go sort of through the mountains to get on the motorway, but it went up. And so you'd lose all the radio stations, and they keep changing and whatever. And so and Catherine said, well, have you not thought of listening to podcasts? And that's how I got into podcasts. But no, I never thought of doing one of my own.
So I knew I wanted to do a podcast with somebody. You were the first person I thought of.
Well, we've always been the same in the fact that, I think that was one of the successes of the store, of the furniture, was that we didn't just sell furniture. We always tried to help people who were coming in, even sometimes to the detriment of the furniture owner. We get people coming who come over, have a look around, seeing something they thought they liked, thinking that put the deposit on, and so they wanted to buy all the furniture for it. And they said, whoa, hold on a minute. Yeah. Don't do that yet. Make sure you get in the property. Make sure it's going to be ready when, come and look at it when it's nearly ready. Because it won't affect your furniture order. There's a number of people that sort of respected that, and then he came back and said, and by the way, you were right. And even little things, we had a lot on the Polaris properties, because they had houses that were affected. When you looked at them from the front door was either on the left or the right, because they were like pairs, even though they were in a row. But it meant that all the rooms in each one were the opposite way around. So if you were buying an L-shaped sofa and you bought it for one that was on the right hand, and it turned out you ended up with the left one, the sofa didn't work.
Yeah.
And so it was, it was those sort of things which we knew about, and they didn't know, because they hadn't had that experience, and they respected that, and I think we got a lot of good business because of that.
But it was beyond
Repeat
that.
business.
Yeah, it was beyond that. Before I even started working with you, like I knew other people who worked in salespeople or in the office, whatever. And there's always that. You always had that reputation of, you'd help people out, even if it was, oh, don't put into this. You need this paperwork if you want to go to the town hall or to get your pad on.
It worked in both ways. I mean, one of the reasons, like my mum, she came in and she talked about that for weeks. But with her, she was a brilliant salesperson. And not because she was a brilliant salesperson, but because she could talk to people about what they wanted to do and what they were going to do. And by the time she finished that conversation, they were going to buy furniture, because why not? Why buy it somewhere else when these people are so old? And we were very good at that. Richard, Cole, anyway, all the people there, the Holmes, speak highly, people work for us. But one of the things you said was, from the beginning, was treat people how you'd like to be treated.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, wherever you go and work, when you come here, you will do well for the business you work for if you treat people nicely.
I'm just thinking, I needed to hear that a few times.
Yeah.
I still have the Ryanair airport vibe in me. So, can we recap a little bit, like what kind of things can help people? So obviously, networking is huge, because you know loads of people.
So the better, obviously, you've got to be working because you need money.
Yeah.
But also, think when you're looking at the jobs, think of things that will benefit you in other ways.
Yeah.
And the language, again, we go back to this so many times, but even if you're going somewhere where you're being employed to speak English, still try and learn some Spanish from it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just helping somebody else in the office speak a bit more English.
Yeah.
But they'll help you speak a bit more Spanish.
Yeah.
And
don't be afraid that the only job you can get when you look up at first is working in a bar or working somewhere like that. You will meet loads of people, and I can guarantee you'll meet people from other businesses who maybe further down the line will connect to you. Remember you, if you treat them well, if you do your job well, then they'll remember you and they'll contact you if they're opening their own real estate agency, or they need an administrator later down the line, or whatever it may be. They'll meet people. So don't be worrying about, you can only get a job as working in a bar or working in a restaurant, but you want to do something else. Then it will happen. And as Paul said as well, it's great for even if you want to work for yourself over and thing, just get that paperwork set up at the start.
you get a lot of things sorted out beforehand by working for somebody else before. And you're not abusing the system. You're not abusing them by doing it, as long as you put the effort in while you're working there.
Yeah.
But start working, and like I said, like Catherine just said, don't think it's too long yet.
Yeah.
I doubt very few people come over as a director of a company and then end up being a director of a Spanish company instantly. I don't think it's going to happen. But if you put yourself about, and you get in and you're willing to work at a low level, but you haven't got that ability, and you were a director because you were very good, that's going to shine through. Yeah. And you're going to meet a lot of people. And it might not be the same company. It might be contractors that work for you. It might be suppliers that supply you. Which is good. You could have done it. And there are, like Catherine mentioned Indeed before, so that's available. But there are other ones, and so have a look on there and see what
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. I'll try and have a look and see which one. So yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. We'll put if I can put a link, I'll put a link. If I can't, I'll just put the email address for good places to find jobs online. Obviously, LinkedIn is a great place as well.
And there are companies here that you would recognise. Obviously like IKEA, Grandma. I'm trying to think of Zara. These are companies that you're there when you know how they operate. So that's probably some of them with no Spanish.
As long as they will need you to have Spanish. There's going to be a lot of Spanish people going there. You'll have to have Spanish and English if you work somewhere.
But it's the same. You probably get in quicker, perhaps in somewhere like IKEA in the warehouse than you would on the
Learn
shop
your
floor.
Spanish there.
But if you learn it and you're in the system, and then a job comes up and they know you're good at what you do, you're going to do well. We're teaching you to suck eggs now, but just think basic. Get in the system. Wherever it is, in a bar, in a restaurant, in IKEA or whatever, and then take it from there.
Yeah, make Spanish friends, speak Spanish with your colleagues, learn about the country, and then you're away.
Yeah, and again, really a little bit, but also push your kids to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not just because they're earning pocket money, which it might be in the UK. They get some pocket money, but they're learning probably more Spanish again. They're mixing with people and they're getting a network that may allow them to find a job more so than their education. If you've got somebody, 3 people sat there all coming for a job, and 2 of them have just done their education, but your kid has also worked in an Irish bar, speaks and knows things about things. Even if the job is nothing related to an Irish bar, the fact that they've done something, I've done it here. So to the employer looking at it, it's like you showed some initiative. You came over here, you didn't really speak the language, you got a job, now you speak a lot better and you've got the qualifications. So who are you going to pick? You're going to pick that person.
It speaks a lot to someone's character. What we were saying to Lily when she was here last week, the fact that she went to the UK to go to university and got herself some great jobs over in the UK. And that's great for her character building as well. It's really important, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. Anything else? So, we're gonna do like coming up. We've got retiring in Spain. That's gonna be good one. We're also gonna do like link to what we were talking today a little bit, because we do now know a lot about furniture and stuff like that. Keep your eye out for our furniture special. So if you are buying a property or thinking about buying a property in Spain, this and that one, because all the specialty has picked up some great tips, information, things that you absolutely should do, things that you might think about differently about your furniture or buying furniture in Spain. So it might be a little bit niche, but actually I think it's going to be really helpful.
It's not people.
Everyone wants to buy furniture in Spain, really, or rent people in Spain. Anyone wants to buy furniture in Spain.
The other one we need to drop, activity drop, is we've got a lawyer coming out.
Oh yeah.
So this is positions like a new thing. So we've got a guest lawyer coming on to talk about buying property in Spain. So if you have got any questions or anything you want us to talk about or ask, send it to hello@spainfullyhonest.com. I've said that for a bit. hello@spainfullyhonest.com. And what we won't do, we won't be mentioning people's names or people's personal situations. That would be something you need to talk to them at a later date, and we'll put contact details on. But if it's a general question, we can ask them a question.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I was really excited about that.
And hopefully that'll spin off to other ones from lawyers on different things as well.
And I just wanted to give a little shout out for all the people sending us emails. I was even a little bit emotional with some of the emails because I won't name anybody or anything, but some of the emails we're getting through with people telling us like their life stories about why they want to move to Spain, about how the podcast, just after 10 episodes, because this one hasn't been aired, has already helped people so much. Oh my God, I was like emotional reading the emails.
That's what you're talking about. Doing the demo now. That's fantastic.
I love it. So just thank you for your emails. You don't know how much it means to us. You are the reason why we're doing the podcast, because we just want to help people either realize that they definitely want to move to Spain, maybe realize that's not for them, maybe it's not for them at the moment, but we're here to just help. And so
and in some cases, we can warn you about, even advise you not to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly when it's related to children's education, and the ages of children. So, we don't try not to do that too much, because we love living here. We want those people to love living here.
Yeah, definitely. But that's what we're here for. So thank you so much. And again, can't believe how many people have listened, thousands of people have listened.
From all over the world, how many countries?
I didn't count today, but as of yesterday, 29 different
29 countries around the world. 28, I can't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Irish people can't understand you.
I don't understand them at all. Well, it is mutual, though. I've got Irish relatives, and I spend evenings not knowing what we're talking about. I just travel a lot.
That's great. Oh, brilliant. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again.
See
See you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to Spainfully.
And don't forget to subscribe or follow, depending on the platform you're listening on. So the button should be down here somewhere, whether you're on YouTube, subscribe, or Spotify, you can follow us. So somewhere down here, you've got a follow or subscribe button. So please click it. It really helps us to grow the audience so we can help reach more and more people who want to find their home in the sun.
It doesn't cost you anything, just to get more and more viewers, and it pushes up the ranking.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.